Hi, Dennison here, creator of Marine Diesel Basics and Sailing Solo Over 70. In this video, I'd like to give you a short summary of my trip to the UK to buy a boat. This was, after completing book 2, I really want to get back to sea, although I'm also working on book 3. Did a lot of research, came up with a 31-foot yawl, great design, Dutch built, in good condition. Flew over there. The boat presented very well. The owner was extremely cooperative. But in the end, I decided not to buy the boat. And I think it may be worth just going through some of the pointers and some of the lessons that I've learnt in this process. One was I had done a lot of research. I'd been in contact with the broker and with the owner, who'd been very cooperative, sending me the latest survey, a list of jobs done, a list of jobs that would have been done if they hadn't put the boat up for sale. The boat was being sold for the owner's health reasons. So always looking good. I did have a few things I needed to inspect closely. The boat, as I say, presents very well. However, although my initial reaction was, yes, I want to take the boat, when I really thought about it, I decided that it would take too much to bring it up to the standard that I need for open ocean voyaging, for blue water sailing. That's not to say that it's not a very good boat for coastal sailing, because I believe it would be. The design itself is good for blue water. But just there were a few things. The two things for me, which may be instructive for other people, I had never seen a boat before that did not have a chain locker. Where the chain locker would have been, right in the bow, was taken up by the boat's water tank. It seemed a bit odd, but that was the original design. Instead, the chain went over the windlass, then there was no drop, which is what you normally have into a chain locker, and it's that drop that keeps it engaged with the windlass. It goes into, on this boat, it went into basically a plastic baker's box on the deck. Well, that might be okay on a summer's afternoon, but that will not do going out into open ocean, or really even coastal, certainly not anything but the fairest weather, it seems to me. The other thing was that the tiller and rudder seemed extremely stiff. And it's something I hadn't even thought about, but I just casually was sitting there with the tiller in my hand. It was incredibly stiff. And I thought, even the most powerful autopilot would have difficulty moving this tiller. Well, I've already experienced on my last boat almost 3 weeks of hand steering, and I really do not want to go through that again. Obviously, the problem could be dealt with. It's either the top bearing or where the rod goes, where the tiller rod goes through down into it's attached to the rudder, and where it goes through out of the boat, or it could be a bearing at the bottom on the strut. It could be any of those, or maybe the rudder shaft is out of, is bent, but it was very stiff. However, this brought up another issue, which I think is worth thinking about in all boat purchases, not just the initial cost. Because when I thought about it, I thought, well, yes, this issue can be solved, but it may be solved easily, but more likely, in my experience, it would require taking the boat out of the water. Well, right away in Wales, in a marina, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And as we all know, once you take a boat out of the water, that one job you have to do, be back in the water within a week, becomes 10 jobs to do, and you're out of the water for a month. And that was just a rabbit hole that I was not prepared to go down, primarily because my finances were not in a good state for this. I was borrowing half the money for the purchase price. That would have worked if I could have got the dinghy, got the autopilot, and then taken off. But if it meant sitting for a month or two in the UK, which is a very expensive place to be, then that puts in jeopardy getting across the Bay of Biscay before the autumn gales start, and there's certainly no possibility of me spending the winter in Europe. That was out of the question. So the whole thing started to fall apart, but you can see how I put together this house of cards, which was quite easily taken apart, I have to say. So there we are, lesson learned. I'm very sorry to the owner, who was very generous with his time and his consideration, and I hope the boat does find a new owner soon, somebody who will appreciate her and use her as she can be used, and I wish her well. For myself, this leaves me now without a boat, but also with the realization that what I need to do is focus on Book 3. Book 3, Marine Diesel Basics 3, will be about troubleshooting. I don't believe there's a good troubleshooting book out there. A few people made a stab at it, but I think we can do a lot better. So I've teamed up with a friend of mine, Peter Jarrett in Australia, who has more than 50 years of practical experience with marine diesel systems and is a real diesel whisperer. So the two of us are very keen to set down his knowledge and experience in a way that is easy to do the diagnostics and really get to the heart of problems when you're troubleshooting. So that is now going to be my focus for the next 6-9 months. I will definitely revisit getting a boat again once Book 3 is out, and hopefully my finances are in a better shape. But there's an experience. I'm glad I went. I was able to see family and friends I haven't seen for more than a decade, so that was good. It was great to be on a boat, even contemplating being at sea again. That was a great joy to me. But in the end, it didn't work out. For you who are thinking of buying a boat, don't forget, it's not just the cost of the boat, it's also the cost of the running of the boat and bringing the boat up to the standard that you require. Are you coastal sailing? Are you summer sailing? Are you in sheltered places? Or are you open ocean passages? Each one requires a different standard of vessel and equipment and preparation. And perhaps the cheapest boat is the one you walk away from. So, lesson learned for me anyway. And until next time, I wish you fair winds and a reliable diesel.